That defeats the purpose. We were choosing between 10 and 5, and you guys just voted for 10. What do we got here? Danish? It takes bishop c4. And what's going on here? I think if I now play my bishop to c5, the problem becomes that they can take it in queen h5 check. Therefore, let me just play knight f6, e5, I have d5. But they can play knight f3 now and make this a bishop's opening. As much as I love just putting my bishop on c5 ASAP. But they play e5. This is a nice counterpunch. Just in this setup in general, like e5 looks really good. Like it looks like the knight's only square is g8. But d5 really works as a great counterpunch. Because, well, that's some weird prep here. But takes f6, takes c4 would have been nice. We can go over this more after. So what's going on here? If I go knight c6, I guess bishop b5. And okay, we can play like that. Some knight move. This is 6, bishop b5 is here. But okay, we should calculate as the most forcing option, which is take. They take d8, king takes d8, takes f6, takes f6. And then I have an extra pawn in the endgame. It's this. Kind of hard to keep track of a little bit. It's hard to keep your leg not on an awkward angle when you can't put any weight on the foot. Okay. Another option is c5. Check, presumably. Bishop d7. Here, knight takes d7. Queen is hit. e5 is hit. Say queen f4. Then we can try to get it, but I'm not so convinced about this line, even though we can keep going deeper into it. Knight c6, bishop e5, knight e4. I mean, it's a pretty compelling setup. Because, like here, okay, we can go up a pawn in the endgame, like a tentative pawn. But what I like, yeah, I like this knight c6. Alright, so I fully expect this move with the queen hit. And now I'm going to jump in knight e4. And it's a square I didn't have access to before. In fact, my knight couldn't go anywhere because d5 was hit twice. So now with the knight e4, the thing is what it does against this queen so well is bishop c5. It supports it. And then hits f2 together on the other end. So you got to come up with a good response here if you're white. Probably bishop e3. Then I play bishop c5 anyway. Let's say queen d3, trade at minimum, and then I can just attack e5. It's just kind of pleasant like that. Queen could move, like let's say to a4, but then still bishop c5. Let's say take, take, take. It doesn't end well for them after bishop to d7. Takes d5, but then I take f2. Bishop f2. I don't think you want that if you're white. Probably bishop e3 then. And I'll probably just go bishop c5. Trade on e3 and then maybe even just castle. Does Gambit Man usually berserk? Yes, he usually does. He usually does. And he usually pays the price for it in terms of severe time trouble. Well, usually, actually, it's technically not true. I think my berserk rate is probably lower than 50%. If I feel like, you know, I'm playing like 500 plus points down, then I will watch him. Berserk is when you cut your time in half, right? So you saw my opponent start with 5 minutes, which is half of 10. When you cut your time in half at the start of the arena, I don't like this move, f3, on their part, because... Well, let's have a look-see. I'm just rearranging my chair. Okay. We're playing bishop c5 for sure. Because queen h4 check, g3, I can't take it, my queen will hang. So we're going here. So the only way out is through for Mr. Knight. The only way out is forward. So their point is that if I go knight to f2, then after queen takes c6 check, bishop to d7, they're going to take c5 probably, right? Then I take h1. And then they're just going to be like, okay, let's try to pick off this knight, and then we'll get 2 pieces for a rook. This piece, and then the knight if they pick it off. We could go down that line and just be like, you're not going to eat it. Like, let's say here, just be like, no, I don't think you're going to get my knight, because I'm going to go like queen h4 check and take h2. I can't go queen h4 check right now because of g3 takes, and my queen will hang. What I can do is, like, let's say I go checking f1, that achieves nothing and just puts another piece in jeopardy. But if I do it with queen h4, g3, then bishop f2, king f1, oh, you don't want to step onto a light square if my queen's on h4. You know why? Any knight move, it being check wins their queen. Queen h4, yeah, that does it, that does it. Queen h4 check, if you don't block me, you're just going to lose. But now bishop f2 check, your queen is unprotected. Oh, but it went to d1. Oh, so smart, because now knight takes c3. Very nicely done by my opponent. Knight takes c3, defends their queen. And I don't have knight f2. We have another twist. So what's going on here? Well, I can just go queen h5, making this pin and saving my knight. But there's queen takes c6 check, and so a lot of complications ensue. Like, they would take my rook, and I need something there. So, what am I going to do then? Bishop takes g3. We can do, but we're leaving a couple things hanging. We need like a double rook sacrifice kind of line. It's not off the table. Some crazy line with like here. Bishop d7. Takes a8. King e7. Queen h8. Bishop g1. Right? In that position, f3 is hanging. I mean, I think that's what's going to have to happen here. Because if I take g3... Well, okay, I take g3 might be more reasonable. They can still take the rook, but the point is, like, I can get something back if I'm able to drop in here. So, for that reason, they might take e4. I would still go bishop g4 check after king to d2. This is playable, but the other one is just so fun. I think I can pull it off. Queen h5 here takes e8. Well, okay, we would probably just do it giving just the one rook. There's no reason to give two. Alright, let's do this. Queen h5. So, we've saved our knight. g4, I'm taking it, obviously. And I have the big threat of bishop takes g1. Because if we trade there, then I go queen takes f3 check. And their only square is king e1 and queen f2 check. And then I would take the rook at minimum. Or bishop g4 check, ending the game. So queen takes e6. Now let's say I go king e7. So you can't take d5 because rook d8, right? Which could otherwise be a good defensive resource. Queen d5 and then queen e4 in that position defending f3. Now, if you take my rook, what I'm going to do is probably take the knight and then be like, how are you defending this? If you go king e2 in that position, then bishop a6, check, and it would wing your queen. So we are down one pawn here. It's a fun moment to, I don't know. Are there any glasses that commemorate this moment? So they choose to take c7, but we can just block that, right? We just block that, and we've got everything covered, and we're not down a rook. We're just down 2 pawns. No biggie. No biggie. So, no checks around me. Can they throw that in? Maybe. I would go queen takes g5, f takes here. But then I can also, like, if I just don't want to deal with it, I don't have to. f6, take. Go away. I'm going to take g1 and take f3. So if you're white here, yeah, you need to shield f3, and they do with this nice move g4. So, where are we going now? Where are we headed? Let's go to g6, because in another twist, our latest idea might just be a coordination on c2. As our opponent still lacks development in all facets, but I didn't have bishop takes g4 owing to the pin. They don't want to take that, probably, because queen takes g4 or queen takes e4 in one order or another is going to win that rook. Queen takes e4, so nice c3, nice defensive move. Are we playing... Which rook are we bringing over? Maybe this one. Well, if they go and takes d5, then king... Yes, so this is why we use this rook. Right, knight takes d5 check would make get another pawn down, but king f8, we run away quite nicely. The queen is hanging. It does not have d6. And in that position, queen just needs to move, and then I feel like I have good coordination here. So they don't go for it. They play queen to a5 instead. Now, what do we got? We got a few options. We can just trade on c3 and force pawn takes. Bishop to b6 is interesting. Well, what's happening there? Knight takes d5, king f8. If I trade, and then just try to, like, attack it, right? Like, let's say rook c5, rook c8, bishop d4, even. I could trade and then, like, take here. This is more interesting, though. Just trying to go knight f2. Here, and just try to go knight f2. I also got a lot of options, to be honest. A lot of things to consider. Bishop b6, knight takes d5. Let's say king e8 to play it safer. And their queen is hit. They go knight takes b6, but then I would play knight f... No, not that early. I would play knight takes b6. And I would get in my knight to f2, wouldn't I? I'd get him in one way or another. So we're going to go bishop b6 so that the knight can use the square. That's what we're going with here. We want the knight to use that square right away before it gets taken. So queen b4 is check, but I can block it again with tempo on the queen. Now they take here, but we can run away. Should I go to e8 even just to hold the bishop? No, not necessary, because queen b7, I have bishop c6, which deflects that. No, wait. Oh, I didn't see that at all. They had check here and then take with the queen. Oh no, I didn't see that. How did I miss that? That's not good. Okay. Try going here. Okay, well, you gave me something. But I don't want to get mated. Am I mated? Queen g2 and a2. Don't know, I missed that completely. Oh, I can go here to go bishop f8. I didn't even realize that. Okay. Here in f6, do I lose? Also check and take here. Wait, this game is so far from over. They messed this up. King p7 now. What a roller coaster. Well, I don't want to trade queens. Let's go there then. Maybe I should have gone queen g2. But I can't, but now we get this knight. Not bad. Rook f1, we're not trapped because I have the square because the knight is gone. Then I get to take on e5. That. Aha. Now if you take it, I go rook d8. I have 11 seconds. Oh man. Wow. Okay, what a battle. That was a roller coaster. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, it still came down to just a blitz out, even though we had a lot of time. I mean, I was fortunate, actually, that my opponent berserked. Right? I was fortunate that my opponent berserked, because they had 5 minutes. So very well played by them. Kudos to them. Okay. Let's have a look here, starting from the opening as the computer is analyzing and probably telling us all the blunders we made. So it takes bishop c4, knight f6. This is already, I think, a pretty good line for... This transposes to like a Urasov gambit, which can be nice. Just giving this pawn with queen takes d4 coming with tempo, so there's no d5 here. The knight just needs to retreat. And then in this position, white has like some nice compensation. But e5 here as a strike against the knight, like I even... Like, let's say I play, like, a Sicilian and bishop c4 happens. I'll play knight f6 just to bait an e5, because it looks really good, attacking the knight and just driving you right back to g8. But d5 here is quite nice, because, like, this recapture is really good. The bishops are very nice here. Pawns are actually quite solid. And, you know, with long castles and the open g and d lines, there's a lot that black can do. So, I mean, that also stands in king's pawn structures, like in this position d5, take, you know, this is actually like really nice for black. They just bring out their pieces like so. In the game, after d5, they immediately rattle off queen takes d4. Engines, so, okay, what I played was kind of the 1A, 1B. D takes c4, so you could just play this endgame. We would have had a very different game if I would have tried to win this endgame up this pawn. That was one option. What I went with here, which still gives me advantage, was knight c6. I was trying to keep queens on, something a little bit more dynamic. Bishop to b5 played to get the bishop out of fire and also to not lose your queen owing to the pin. Knight to e4, which is now a very nice square because it supports bishop c5 and a hit here. Instead of doing something more natural here, but like it's still a nice position for me, I'm going to castle and hit e5 and take advantage of your poor king position. They play this sharp move f3, which invites bishop c5, and after trade queen a4, the position gets pretty muddy pretty quickly. So the knight is hit, but so is c6, and with c6, a8, and c5 potentially as well if the knight has moved. We got to be very careful here, and I go for it with this idea of queen h4, g3, bishop f2, right? Trying to make... And here I thought the game was already over when I played this the first time, because I thought the king is just going to a square where it can be checked by the knight, e2 or f1, and then I take g3 for check winning the queen. But they do have king d1 right away, and everything I've done has still been correct this whole game, and it's still like a little bit better for me. It's minus 0.3 if I go with this line. Bishop takes g3. The line here would be queen takes c6. So apparently taking the knight loses to something here. Knight e2. Take, check. And then maybe like queen f3, or here queen f4 coming in. So you got to know that this is not going to work out for them. And I think the point also is queen takes c6. No, it's just, you got to know, you got to have that calculation down. You got to feel like the king, there's nothing around the king, and like you're just getting in, I guess. And then if they go for this is the better line. Not take a8, because then I can also just win a rook. And when I win a rook, it's better because my pieces are more active around your king. So they don't want to make that trade. So their best line would then be like take c7. This is pretty similar to the game. Here they've got a pin, and there's some wild lines here. Knight f3. Okay, apparently this is all a little bit better for black somehow. I'll finish that to completion. Queen e4. It's like check. King back. I mean, this is all just like so difficult. But apparently this is how we get to an endgame. And it's a little bit better for black. After all that stuff trades. Wild. That's not what happened. And I chose the queen h5 option, which is simpler because it cuts down on my opponent's options and it makes things pretty clear for me in terms of what I want to do. I'm not losing my knight, right? And I want to just take g1 and then take f3 next turn. And I thought this was pretty effective. My opponent, to their credit, is also choosing the best moves. So queen takes e6, king e7, and queen takes c7. So they're eating what they can, right? So right, I don't want to go bishop d7 because then I'm here losing too much stuff. Or they can here just take d5, and they've grabbed a rook with check. Right? They've grabbed a rook with check. So then when I take here, they're able to eat my knight, hold f3, and just be up a rook. So I can't really go for that. So king e7, now if you take my rook, now I take g1, And this is just too strong with f3 hanging as well. And like I said, no real way to protect f3 at this point. Queen takes d5, you're too slow. King e2, there's bishop a6 check, winning the queen owing to this rook. And knight d2, I can even take that knight in my way. And then take f3, or just knight f2 directly. So, they take c7, right? They're taking what they can with check, and I go bishop to d7 blocking. And so when I looked at this the first time, I thought this was great, because I'm still crashing through. I'm going to take g1 and take f3, and you're out of checks. And also, all my pieces are doing well, my king is safe, and your pieces are not doing well. Sudish, subscribed on YouTube. Shout out to you. So. What is happening here? My opponent's best move to hold equality was this move e6, which is very tough to see. What does it change? e6 and then g4. That's what the engine wants. What happened in the game was just g4 immediately. By the way, do we have computer analysis done? It's still analyzing? Why is it taking so long? Huh. Okay, bishop to d7, they played g4 directly, which is interesting, and I, again, choose the right option here, which is queen g6 over queen to h4. But g4 they're playing now, because this is pinned, and it looks like now could be an opportunity to take the knight, but really not quite yet, because after queen takes e4, the rook is hanging, and again, you just don't have the development here to support it. This is really just the one check, there's nothing there, and then I'm going to take the rook and eat everything else here. So, with queen to g6, we're still looking good here. We're down pawn. This is about where I put on the gambit glasses, right? I'm like, rook c8, I'm going to get you on c2. This is looking awesome. So they play here knight c3, which is a nice defensive resource. And again, this is the only good move in the position that preserves advantage greater than minus 1.5, and it's minus 3.2, which is bring this rook over to c8. So that if I do get this capture, now I can start looking to run away potentially in this direction. King e8, first holding the bishop, queen a5, and then like some knight move to try and play queen takes c2, checkmate. Right, so I go here so that I can run away towards there without, with the rook being on that side of the king. So rook hc8 was a nice resource, so they played queen to a5 to hold the knight here, standing between me and checkmate. And we, again, go with the best idea here, which is the bishop to b6. Bishop to b6, hitting the queen, and then looking for knight to f2. So the point here is, like, let's say knight takes d5. We play, like, let's say king e8, so we're out of the line of fire of checks. And now after something like queen to b4, trying to checkmate me and not losing your queen. And then knight takes b6 isn't really going to change much, because I can go check, and then recapture this knight. Note not in the other order, because that would guard f2. Oh, well, no, it's fine. I have the queen there. So there's some queen move, and then I can go knight to f2 here, and we're still looking good. But, yeah, I was going to say here, knight takes b6 also works. And so let's say queen to b4 trying to come into e7. I also have here check. And bishop c5, right? So not allowing them to come to e7, and then I will eat the rook. So this looks good, right? Bishop to b6, we're pulling that back, hitting the queen, looking at knight f2. We've actually played this quite well. I'm going to refresh this. I don't know what's taking so long with the analysis. Computer analysis done. Computer analysis done. Okay. But it's not showing me. Alright, in the game, they played the most tricky way, which is queen to b4. And this is very, very tricky, because the move order matters a lot here. They're playing here queen to b4 before knight takes d5 check, which is actually the trickiest option of them all. And now my move bishop c5 becomes a huge, huge blunder, even though it looks like automatic. I played this instantly. But I played instantly because I'm just like, oh, I hit your queen again, and now I'm going to play knight to f2. The problem is, knight takes d5 check, which is what happened in the game. King moves anywhere, and then queen takes e4. They just took my queen, because the pawn was defending. It was the one thing that was stopping them from taking with the queen. Knight takes d5 check. King moves, and then they took this. They just took my knight, and I never got to play knight f2. Like what a disaster. I'm just down a piece now. What I needed here, apparently, was king to e8. But then this gets crazy, because, like, now you need to allow this capture on e4. Right? Otherwise, I'm playing knight to f2. And now I'm supposed to play takes and follow it with like d4. But that makes sense, actually. d4 now, hitting the knight, and then trying to play queen takes e4. So like some knight move. Well, that is like this component to it, but apparently it's also not good. But then queen takes e4 is the point here and here, as long as you don't get mated on e7. Interesting stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure points in this position on the light squares if you're white here after d4. So even though you're down a piece for a moment, I guess that's how you had to play it. What a wild game. But bishop c5. So here they're actually in the clear because they took d5 with check and then grabbed d4. So both of us, I think, to this point have played really, really good games. And I made the last blunder, even if it was my first blunder, which was them getting me on this little prank here. Bishop b6, I mean, a very ambitious choice, trying to go knight to f2, and I really had to see that it's actually okay to allow pawn takes because d4 is actually such a strong resource, and black has been winning here, even though down a piece. In the game, bishop c5, they take, and here, so we're just down. We're just losing here. We're up 213 to 113 on the clock. I go queen a6. Of course, I'm not trying to trade queens down a piece. Trying to go queen f1. My opponent, right, so queen takes h7, which is not like a mistake, but there's no reason to allow such crazy imbalances here, right? They're trying to mate me and I'm trying to mate you, right? Just like, you should go knight e2 and try to not allow any imbalances in the position. Like, I was still going to go for, like, bishop c6 and, like, trying to get you here, or however I can. But, no, I mean, I think you can keep that pretty solid, all things considered here. And just try to stay up your piece. But you give me a chance here. You give me a fighting chance, I feel like, with trading these resources, when in reality you should just be trading pieces because you're up one. There's no reason to allow such crazy complications. Okay, king d2, and then, I mean, like, I think I was just dead mated for the longest time, and then finally I realized I could go king e8 to tuck my bishop back here. Queen to h3 apparently was the only move to not lose. The only move to not lose is queen to h3, and I think it's because there's anything else like queen g2 and leaves the rook hanging. h3, because yeah, queen f2 and a2 and you're okay. Interesting stuff, interesting stuff. So queen h3, but they didn't want to do it because they were looking at b3. What they want to do is, like, if I do nothing, they want to go check, and they like they're still thinking aggressive. They're still thinking aggressive. They're like, I want to attack the queen and I want to mate you on f8, right? That's what they were thinking about with b3. They're just trying to get me right now. But with bishop to e6, now it's a little trickier because they give the same check, but now I can run king d7. I play bishop e6, hitting the knight, and now with check here, king to d7, the bishop does not have anywhere great to go. I'll say bishop to b2, even with the rook protected. Now check, and I'm picking up the knight at minimum. So here, it's already like an even ball game again because I'm picking up this knight after king d7 hitting the queen with the knight hanging. So what happens now? Queen to h3, right? They're trying to trade queens. I'm like, no, thank you. Queen f2. Still, they're actually up like 4 pawns, even 4 pawns. Yeah, 7 to 3 in terms of pawn count. So I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want to get into that sort of endgame where I'm down 4 pawns. So I'm going here, queen to f2 check, trying to keep that on the board. So my pieces are much better, and my king is a little safer, but 4 pawns of compensation. So how do you evaluate that? I guess minus 0.4 with best defenses. So rook to f1 played, queen to e3 check, king d1, and queen takes e5. We get our queen out of there somehow, some way. And here on move 28, we're in an equal position. Oh, we just got the things on Lead Chess with the blunders. You can see here how much having no time changed it. Because when you can see here on the right me scrolling past. And like almost nothing is marked with mistakes or blunders in any regard. Like just this one move by white is like a slight mistake. But then I get down here. When we start getting low on time, right? They play this one move b3, which gave that back. We start getting low on time, then it's like blunder, 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 right? Which I think is pretty funny. So, anyway, in the game, queen t3, queen takes e5, so we're hitting the rook, but they didn't even see that. Rook b1, it would have been an interesting battle raging on here. Rook e8, rook d8 probably is something you want to play. King somewhere, and then trying to get them, and it's still fun. 3 pawns down for like a hell of a lot of compensation. Give me that with black every day. But okay, they're just playing f4 here because they had very little time. They didn't see the rook was hanging, and so from here, okay, we were just kind of moving around. I'm not sure this is really worth analyzing because neither of us played so great, but I didn't get flagged, and I flagged them, although, you know, obviously it's winning by the end. So, a roller coaster of a battle, a true roller coaster of a battle. I thought I had them in the beginning. I mean, props to my opponent for also really playing quite well.
William Grave, the Gambit man, takes his seat at the board. E4, E5, Knight F3. Bishop C5. The Bushcast Gambit on the board. On with the Gambit classes. Hero Pod unlocked.